right around the circle, right into the end.
Yeah, you're right there.
The opposite side of the High Line.
Beautiful.
Can't find her name.
It's a great spot. We just hang out there.
I immediately go.
You don't have to move.
Go get some takeout, bring it back.
Sure enough, I go up tomorrow. I'm like, here's your name. You bought for
What kind of
No,
boat?
I did. I go.
I have a Key West, 239.
I think it showed.
Comps,
Yeah.
DSF.
I know, 33-foot virgin.
Oh, nice.
Wait, no.
But it's nice when they look it on their own, and it's not your thing.
No, the other I wasn't trying to.
I've had nightmares going down the Prince Cove ramp. Everything just, you have to have faith that you're doing it right.
Even though the new rail.
Oh, there's a new one there now?
Well, no, he's not. Honey, that ramp's been in for about 15 years.
Yeah, about 15 years. I mean, it just kind of disappears like this.
So I'm in precast concrete. So I told him at the time that they were designing it, one of my customers was putting it in. I said, don't go past the place. Go past it.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this Town of Barnstable Waterways Workshop meeting of August the 13th, 2024. We were originally scheduled for the old Selectmen's Conference Room, but by the amount of people here, we have to switch it out here, so I have to make that announcement. They had to switch the recording over, so they're all set now, so we'll get going. On our Waterways Committee present, we have Gary Schramick, Greg Egan, myself, Paul Everson, the Harbor Master, Brian Taylor, and Pam Swider-Cohen, who's the principal assistant, as well as Councilor Paul Neary, who's our liaison to this committee. We'll be doing a PowerPoint. The Harbor Master will be doing a PowerPoint. We'll have time for people to speak, and we'll ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Before we get the meeting going, I have to advise that tonight's meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Channel 18 and in accordance with Mass General Law 30A, Section 20. I must inquire if anybody is taping this meeting, and if so, please make their presence known. Seeing none, at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Taylor, our Harbor Master. And before I do that, I just want to say what this is and what this isn't. What this is a workshop. What it isn't is a fee hearing. So the Waterways Committee isn't here tonight to set fees. We're starting to hear some of that floating around. So this is a presentation by the Harbor Masters Department on the Enterprise Fund and where we're at, and I'll let Harbor Master take it over.
Good evening, Brian Taylor, Harbor Master for the Town of Barnstable. This is a fee proposal for the Marina Enterprise Program. Like the chairman said, this is not a fee hearing, it's a workshop. So this fee proposal would need to go forward to the town manager, and then he would conduct a fee hearing, and if supported, then it could go into play. But right now, it's just a workshop. We want to hear from the users. That's why I invited everyone. That's why I sent out the letters in the mail and the email. So we're going to do a quick overview of the Marina Enterprise Fund, which is currently under 4 town marinas, but 1 enterprise fund. We have Barnstable Harbor, Prince Cove Marina, Bismore Park Marina, and Gateway Marina with 188 slips. We have an operating budget of fiscal year 2025 of $879,910. It is equally funded operating budget. Expenses and revenue are the same. Staffing, we have 1.65 full-time employees and 10 seasonals. What is an enterprise account? I think that's important to note. It's not run similar to a general fund account. An enterprise account allows a community to demonstrate to the public the total cost of providing a service for consolidating all programs, direct and indirect costs. So that includes debt services, capital projects, into one fund, which is the enterprise fund. All the 4 marinas are not set up differently into 4 enterprise funds. They're all in one fund. And this is from the Town of Barnstable budget booklet, financed and operated similar to a private business enterprise. What that allows us to do is to retain the users pay the fees for the uses of the facilities, and then we operate the budget through the usage of the facilities and the fees paid. There is some offset from the general fund for various reasons. One, we have at Bismore Park, the general fund offsets some of the costs of the electrical services and sewage for that facility. But other than that, it's self-sustaining. That's about $30,000 this year. Other than that, the fund is completely self-sustaining, which means the users pay for the facility. They put the money into the enterprise fund, and then it circles back around, back out to the enterprise fund. That's important to note. How do we get here? Well, we had a fee discussion which started in October of 2022 at a Waterways Committee meeting. Why? Because our current fee structure is inconsistent. We have different fees within the same marinas. We have different fees spread out through different marinas throughout the town. Adjustments have been made since our original conversation to the fee proposal over time. More adjustments to the fee proposal, as you're going to see tonight, can occur. This is not a fee schedule hearing. Again, it's just a workshop. We have various marina projects that are ongoing and some that are going to be coming into the future. I'm going to discuss those tonight, and this, again, is a workshop, not a fee hearing. So issues. Issue number one, fee structure. The discrepancies with fee structure within the same marina. So you can see here in the example of Barnstable Harbor, if we have a 24.5-foot vessel in slip 8, they currently pay $4,075 or a per foot charge of $171. The same size vessel within the harbor in slip 39 pays a flat rate fee of $2,607. Would be a per foot charge if they had a per foot charge of $104.28. So you have the same vessel in the same harbor paying two separate fees. Discrepancies within the fee structure across different marinas. So you have a 21-foot vessel in slip A5 at Gateway. They pay a per slip fee, which is $2,607. Their would-be per foot charge is $124.14, and then that same size vessel at Prince Cove in B13 pays a current per foot charge of $177.25. So again, this just shows our current fee structure, how it's laid out, how we have different fees at different marinas. We even have different fees at the same marina. Number two, capital improvement projects and debt services. So there's a cost associated with capital improvement projects, as everyone knows. You have design and permitting, construction, project management, contingency, and other costs that go into each capital improvement project. You also have debt services that pay for those capital improvement projects. We still have debt services for the following: Gate Marina dredging, Prince Cove bulkhead, multiple marina bulkhead repairs, Bismarck Park Marina improvements and design. In FY23, we paid a total of $219,613 to debt services. That's within our operating costs. As you can see, the over $800,000 in our current operating costs for 2025, that would be an indirect operating cost within our budget cycle. Estimated cost for projects for a 5-year plan, approximately almost just shy of $7 million. So we do have future projects up and coming, Prince Cove Marina improvements. We do have a Bismarck Park bulkhead replacement project that got modified, and now it's going to be basically a maintenance and improvement project. We did get some money from the Economic Seaport Development for $1 million to offset the cost. That's why you can see it's crossed out here. So that is not in the math. That would have been a total of $16 million. So we do have other improvements at Bismarck Park that are not associated with the bulkhead. Our fixed piers are rather old, 25, 30 years now. They need to be improved, whether we go to floating piers or we go back to fixed piers. We need to do some work on them. Estimated cost for that is $4.1 million, and that's at this time. Prince Cove Marina improvements and construction. So we are currently have a $165,000 capital improvement project for Prince Cove, and that includes redoing the Chapter 91 to expand A dock and C dock, as well as get rid of the shed facility and get an office space inside, redo the bathroom facilities, and some various other projects at Prince Cove to improve parking. Again, I think it's important to note here the 5-year plan for the Marine Enterprise Program is just shy of $7 million. So our current slip rates, that's why we're here. So you can see here you have 4 marinas with basically 4 different slip rates. Again, Barnstable Harbor is really what started this conversation. The example of a 23.5, 24.5-foot vessel paying 2 different fees within the same marina. Data based on current slip rates. So average cost of a slip across all the marinas is $3,250. Average size vessel is 23.5 feet. Actual FY slip revenue generated, and this is just the slips, was $524,000 in FY '23. And then this is a good example here. An individual will pay the following depending on that average vessel size. Gateway, a flat fee of $26.07. Barnstable Harbor, you have two different fees there. Again, Bismore, a totally different fee, and then Prince Cove, a different fee. Data based on current slips, again, this is a good 5-year cost comparison. So this is actual data from what we have in current slips. You have vessels around the same size. I have 19 to about 20.9 feet. And you can see the spread here. Barnstable Harbor, you have a 5-year cost estimate of one slip, $13,000, the next 21, and then another one, $8,000. So you can see the different charges across the board for around the same size vessel. I know give or take a foot or two, but there's different costs associated with each different slip. So municipal marina rates. So this, and it's probably, can you guys see that from there? No, I know it's difficult to put on one slide, but across the board you have various town marinas. Some are operated through general funds. Sandwich is operated through an enterprise fund. I wanted to give kind of an inkling of what other towns are charging across the board. I know it's kind of difficult to read. It'll be available online so everyone can see. Private marina rates. I think everyone can see that a little bit better because I wrote it out. Again, we're not a private marina, we're a town marina, but that's, a lot of people have been asking that question, so I wanted to make sure I put the data up there. Proposed slip fee structure. So currently the proposed slip fee structure is a flat rate across the board of $190 a foot. That's for a resident and a non-resident of $215 a foot. There is one exception with a small craft location. They're paying just over $700 right now for a resident, and that would change to an $1,100 flat fee rate. Difference is they have smaller slips in that small craft section. They don't have the same size slips or the same size fingers.
And that's at Barnstable Harbor?
That's in Barnstable Harbor. Mm-hmm. Data based on fee proposal, if this was implemented, an average slip cost would be $3,567. Projected slip revenue would be $634,000, about $110,000 more. An average size vessel of 23.5 feet. If they paid the same per foot charge, it would be the same across the board of $4,465 at all marinas. Again, this is examples, and I wanted to make sure I showed this because some of these increases would be significant. You'd have a 20.3 foot boat, which currently pays the flat rate fee of $2,607. They would pay $3,857. Barnstable Harbor, you have a flat rate fee of $2,607. They would see an increase to $4,180. We recognize that is significant. Prince Cove Marina, they would have, they pay right now $3,545. They would pay $3,800. Bismore Park Marina, they pay $6,171, and their increase would be to $6,270. They're currently paying $187 a foot right now with a 30-foot minimum. Pros and cons of the proposed fee structure. Pros, everyone pays the same foot charge with the exception of small craft. The minimums change. We do have some minimums that change that we don't have in the current fee structure. Increased revenue can help offset future costs associated with capital improvement projects. Cons, increased costs for all slip holders. Larger increase for certain slip holders, especially the ones that pay a flat fee right now, and not the same increase for everyone. The per foot charge would be the same, but the increase wouldn't be the same for everyone. Other fee changes being proposed in the fee structure are 50 amp, $15 a day per electrical use charge. We don't have that right now. We have a $10 charge for electrical services. We'd eliminate the Prince Cove, Barnstable Harbor, Gateway, $1.75 a foot month rate. That's usually used for transient, although there are some slip holders that stay at Bismore a little longer. They get charged right now $9 a foot for recreational, and $8 a foot a month for commercial. We'd put that fee across the board. A few of our marinas haul out the fixed piers, which is Barnstable Harbor, so that wouldn't really, that fee, although it could, if we kept the docks in a little bit longer, we could use that fee structure, but we don't right now. Seasonal electrical rate, 30 amp would go up to $650, 50 amp to $800, and then our offload fee would go from $35 to $40 per offload, and we currently have a fee structure of $650 right now per calendar year. That would go to $700. So again, this is going to be hard to see. What I'm going to do is come down and bring up the Word document because it's so difficult to see up here. Hopefully that will help. So again, this is the current proposed slip fee rates. We did add an 18-foot minimum to sections 54 through 70, and I believe that was the only minimum that was added. Pam, if you could just continue to go down. Yep, that's it. I think that's all I have at this time. So I believe Paul wants to hear some comments from the public. So I think, like town council, you should probably come up to the podium, make sure you hit the push button to talk.
If you would, when you come up to, just, is there a pad there to sign in as a speaker?
There really isn't, Paul.
Okay.
That's okay. I think everyone signed
Oh,
in.
okay.
Yeah, but you can state your name.
Yeah, just state your
Okay.
name, and we'll try to keep it to 3 minutes if
I'm going to
that
try to
works.
do that.
Okay.
I'm over at Prince Cove. I have a 33-foot boat. I've been there about approximately 15 years. Thanks. And I'm currently paying $5,960. All these fees are great, but the value that you get back for these fees is deplorable. And I don't mean to hurt your feelings here, but you're 25% higher than Sandwich. And in Sandwich, you have gated doors to every ramp. You have shower facilities, toilet facilities, and you have dispatches all the way up to 9 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock in Barnstable, if I call the harbor master, I'm not going to get anybody on Channel 16. If there's an issue down at Prince Cove after 5 o'clock, I'm told to call 911. I'm too old to be calling 911 or to have a situation. In the last month, we've had a runaway boat at docks between dock B and C. It's on the camera. There was no one there to call. We had people fishing up on the, one corner of the parking lot. No one to call. Now, the thing is that over in Sandwich, you have concrete floats. Like I say, the Marina office is open till 9. Then after 9, you have security come in, right till 8 o'clock till they open in the morning. So in essence, you have 24-hour security. At Situate Marina, it's $110 a foot. So the 33-foot berth would be $3,630 versus $5,960, which is a difference of $2,330. This is a 40% increase by being over here. Any boat from up to 15 foot has a one-time charge, flat fee of $500. Now, the harbor master up there has dispatch all the way up to midnight. So if you're in a jam, if there's an emergency, dispatch is going to answer your call. And they have a boat on the water up till 10 o'clock. My biggest thing here, Brian, is security. You cannot find anybody after 5 o'clock. And we have such a jewel in the town of Barnstable with all these marinas, it's beautiful. Prince Cove, Sampson's Island, Dead Neck, right down to Hyannis Harbor. I think there has to be, if you're going to charge these rates, the consumer has to get a return on his investment. And right now, it's not there. I mean, these are the rates. I have a question for the Waterways Commission. Have you visited any other marinas? Have you been over to Sandwich Marina and talked with the harbor master, Mick Dunning?
I have not,
Okay.
but I have been over the marina several times.
It's worthwhile to give him a call. Get over there and talk with him, and he'll give you an update on what he's doing. His game over there is a zero-sum game, meaning he doesn't ask the taxpayers of Sandwich for any additional dollars to run the operation. Same with Situate. They just put $3.5 million into new floats, piles, docks. Out of that $3.5 million, 70% of it was financed by a grant from the state of Mass. 30% came out of their enterprise fund. If you ask them today, they have $500K in their enterprise fund for future expansion. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. Mark Hansen, speaking as a citizen. I'm currently in Barnstable Harbor. Was on the list probably like many of the people behind. I think we were about 19 years before we finally got a slip. My kids were small, came at a good time. Was asking a little bit more about just some clarity on the information that's provided, just if it were to be part of the discussion. One, you showed the discrepancies between Barnstable Harbor specifically, two slips that had a fairly large discrepancy between the two. You didn't really expand on why that was. Is there minimum ones paying? It's a smaller boat, minimum length. When you're considering these fees by the foot, are you considering beam of the boat? Obviously, a 30-foot boat has just takes up a larger space, bigger beam. It doesn't really take into account that. Is there a shortfall currently with regard to how much money's coming in, how much money is required? The projects that are on tap for the next 5 years, are those critical projects? Are those nice-to-have projects, maintenance projects? Are these things that can be deferred? And I'm not as familiar with Bismore, other than to have traveled along that waterway. It seemed to me, and just by my own recollection, that the majority of that is commercial. You can stop me if I'm incorrect on that. It would seem to me that commercial enterprise generally pays more than residential. And, when I look at these harbors, and I've been to many of them, the private marinas, they do cater to generally, newer, nicer, those types of boats. I see sometimes, especially in the small craft areas of these harbors, these are not new boats. These are, 19 years ago, my boat was new when I first put my name on the list, but, now it's not. And so, the fees that are being proposed for some people, it might represent a third of the value of their boat. I know it's not necessarily, it's just something to keep in mind during a time when, economically things are tough, I think, for a lot of people. And I don't want to say having a boat is it's a first world problem. But again, I just think these are just some things that clarification on how you're getting the discrepancies or, what is necessary to do. So if you said to us, there is going to be a shortfall and this is a problem because this is a critical project, I think people can get on board with things like that. But to see for some people a slip rate double or more, it feels a little tone deaf, and I don't mean that any disrespect to that, but it just, in today's situation, sometimes that can be a big bump, and it can be a shock to some people. It might be the difference between never getting on the list again or just plain not being able to afford to do that. I appreciate your time, and again, any further information based on the things I was asking, I think would just be helpful in helping the public make a decision or at least give feedback. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
My name is Christian Tague, Barnstable Harbor. I am not a slip holder. I tried for as many years as I can remember to get a slip. I've been unsuccessful. I have a family member who got hit the lottery, and then we got a slip last year. Quick math: the price of the I pay $16.73 flat rate. At slip 58. Anyway, so I get a 15-foot whaler. I have the width of my boat is 54 inches. The width of my slip is 56 inches. With the 18-foot minimum, that brings me up to $3,500 or $3,420. I paid $3,200 for the boat. So that doubles the price. I get that it's not a fee thing, but the price of the slips at the other harbors. Yeah, I've been here my whole life. Price of the slip. Is that a joke? Okay. Everybody knew what I was doing there. It's 15 foot.
Okay, it's $500 up in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and these are our first.
Okay, we kind of need to.
I understand that. My point is this: we have the price of all the marinas. It's not a comparison. Okay, this is the last egalitarian thing. We all understand that we're not getting what we get at Oyster Harbor, right? We all understand that we're not getting what we get at Oyster Harbor or any of those other facilities. For years and years, this was a lottery, and I get that this is not a fee thing, so I'm not going to consider it a fee thing. But we all know we're here for the fees. If we want to make it based on price, let's make it based on price, and let's bump that price, your operating budget up to $50 million a year, and eventually it will all shake down. But for the rest of us that sat for so many years and tried to get it, like I said, I'm not here. I don't have a slip. Okay, the person whose slip I take care of, yeah, that person's not here because they're nonverbal, right? And they are mildly mobile at best. Okay, that person can't feed themselves. The most exciting thing in the world is when I carry them down that ramp to put them on that boat, right? We should all be so fortunate as a 2-year-old to get that slip. And I want that kid to have that slip his whole life. But when every year costs the price of the boat to get it, with the fee structures that we have and for the value that we get, I don't see how that's going to happen. So that's my opinion. I'm going to try and put my kids to bed, though. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you.
I really appreciate everything you guys do. I mean that.
I'm Laurel DeLong. I prepared something to say because I do better than talking off the cuff like some of these people are good at. Our son is a contract slip holder at Prince Cove Marina. He became a slip holder 3 years ago after being at the bottom of a very long waiting list for many years. Nobody else wanted the slip that he was offered. He has a 13-foot whaler in what could be considered the least desirable slip of the whole marina. 13 foot is the appropriate size vessel for that slip. I have a photograph that I can share with you to illustrate that. Our family uses this 13-foot whaler. The total width of our slip is 6 foot 4 inches. This just barely allows room for small fenders on either side of the vessel to especially protect from damage up against the bulkhead. To access this slip, one must shimmy sideways around the gangway on an approximately 6-inch wide area of dock, all the while gripping that gangway to prevent falling into the water. The rate he is currently annually paying for this slip is $3,545. That is $177.25 multiplied times 20 feet. As I stated, he has a 13-foot whaler in a slip appropriate for a 13-foot whaler. But in that slip at Prince Cove, he gets charged a 20-foot minimum on all slips. There are 34 permanent slip holders at Prince Cove Marina. 23 have vessels greater than or equal to 20 feet in length, and they are annually billed $177 $2,202.25 times the length of their vessel. Of the remaining 11 slip holders, 6 have vessels less than 20 feet in length, but are in slips that can accommodate up to a 20-foot boat, should they choose to replace their current vessel. The remaining 5 slip holders also have vessels that are less than 20 feet in length. They too are being charged the 20-foot minimum, but the slips that they have been assigned cannot accommodate a 20-foot boat. If any or all of them were to go out tomorrow and purchase a 20-foot vessel to essentially get what they're paying for, there would be nowhere to put them. That is not fair. I understand one of the reasons for the proposed fee changes is to bring all 4 town marinas that currently have very different pricing points into alignment. Each of our marina facilities is certainly different and limited by what their space allows. But if Barnstable Harbor has an area that, even with the new proposed fee schedule, allows for a small craft flat fee, why can we not offer a similar small craft flat fee at other marinas for vessels that are in slips that can only accommodate a small craft, such as the one that we are in? The proposed small craft fee at Barnstable Harbor raises that flat rate from $782 annually to $1,100. That is in sharp contrast to the current $3,545 annual fee at Prince Cove Marina and the proposed increase to $3,800. What I would like to see proposed is, number 1, all our marinas charge a uniform flat fee for what they determine are small craft. Or 2, vessels assigned to slips that cannot accommodate a designated minimum foot charge be charged the annual fee times their length of their vessel. I have one additional proposal, kind of associated with fee proposals. Our son accepted the offer of this least desirable slip that no one else wanted as a foot in the door, so to speak, at the marina. We were told the opportunity would likely never get to him again. He was so far down on the list. We believed that being a slip holder would afford him more opportunity over someone else still on the wait list to eventually get a better slip. However, this has not proven to be true. It would seem to make sense that if another slip opened up because someone ended their contract, that vacant slip would then be offered to all existing slip holders on a seniority basis before being offered to anyone on the wait list, especially since we're all paying for a 20-foot minimum. This would allow slip holders with less desirable entry slips the opportunity to upgrade, maybe get what they're paying for. That currently does not happen. The only way you might get to move, and I emphasize might, is by emailing the harbor master just after the stroke of midnight on January 1st of every year, stating that you'd like an opportunity to move should a slip become available. This season, a slip did become available that could accommodate a 20-foot boat. None of the 5 slip holders currently occupying the slips that cannot accommodate a 20-foot vessel but are paying for a 20-foot vessel were contacted and offered the opportunity to upgrade to what was a very desirable slip. Instead of being offered to slip holders with seniority, the slip was offered to the wait list. The new slip holder now has a 17-foot vessel in a slip that it can accommodate a 20-foot boat and is paying the 20-foot minimum annual slip fee. I propose that a seniority list be established at each marina for current slip holders. That seniority list should be used when a slip becomes available. Harbor Master staff could reach out to each slip holder through one group email and offer a change of slip opportunity. Of those that respond yes, priority to move would be given to the slip holder at the top of the established seniority list before offering that to anyone on the wait list. I appreciate you listening. I made copies of my presentation if anybody would like it, and I have the picture of our 13-wheeler in that tiny little 6-foot wide slip that we're paying 20-foot price for. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Coakley. I'm in Barnstable Harbor. I'm in slip number 68. Like everybody in this room, I was on the waiting list to get a slip for about 15 years, and my family and I are really excited that we have a slip, and we've been there 2 years. I know this is a workshop. I'm not here to complain about anything. I'm just here to ask if it's been considered about the doubling of my rate in slot 68, slip 68, from, 1673 to 3325. The degree of difficulty at various low tide or near low tides for myself or my family to get out of our slip and navigate around the boats that are in the slips beside me. I don't know if the slips across from me that are in deeper water would pay the same rate as I would, but I would just ask that since there's a little bit more of a degree of difficulty, that the rate for my slip would be considered when those rates are adjusted. This is a workshop, and I'm just asking for that consideration. All right? Thank you very much.
Rich Kenny, I have a slip at Gateway. I just had a quick question about the enterprise account. Is it just the slips, or is it moorings, or is there anything else associated with the enterprise account?
So moorings are general fund. So anything that's associated with the Marina Enterprise Fund would be slips, parking, the charges that we have for electrical services, and then we have other fee structures that are in place for like merchandise. We sell merchandise at Prince Cove and Barnstable Harbor. There's revenue there. Transient dockage, that comes back into the enterprise fund.
Okay, thanks.
My name is Jeff Kadish. I own and operate the Aquarius out of Barnstable Harbor. I've been involved in the charter boat business in Barnstable for over 50 years. And I would like to respectfully request that this committee consider the earmarking or designating 5 or 6 slips for commercial use. The rationale behind this request is the multiplier effect of what boats for hire contribute to the local community. I don't have the numbers with me because it's a workshop, but I've looked at them and they're quite overwhelming. Other harbors have commercial slips. Barnstable Harbor doesn't. And in order to continue the continuity of the charter boat business, I would, again, respectfully request that the committee consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anybody else?
Hi, I'm Bill Carey, and I've had a slip now for about 40 years, and I'm a resident of Sandy Neck, but I also live full-time in Comaquid. And I'm over in the small craft area, so that means that my fee has gone up by 40%. So I'm paying $764 now. It's a good deal, I agree. But the percentage increase is a bit crazy. I think probably what would make more sense is to have a percentage increase to everyone and not this blanket increase that's just a little bit crazy. So if I'm at, $764, I can shell out $100 increase. I mean, that's not a problem. You want to increase me to $1,100, so it may take you a few years, 3 years, to get to that point. Probably more importantly are the guys that are paying $1,650 that are going to go up over $3,000. I mean, that's insane, right? That type of an increase is really a big problem. You're going to have a Boston Tea Party in Barnstable Harbor. You can probably call it the Boston Tea Party, the Sandy Neck or the Barnstable Tea Party. So there's got to be a way to adjust the fees that make more sense. You just cannot increase it by that huge of a percent. It's not fair. It's not right. You have to work around that somehow. And I would suggest that perhaps you do it over a time period of a few years. Maybe if I can afford to pay $100, or if somebody that has a slip for $1,650, maybe a 10% increase, that's not much, right? $165. Maybe for that type of a slip, you increase it by $200 a month until he gets up to a certain level. Maybe he gets up to $2,000 for his fee, and then you go to the 10% rule where it increases $200 each year. That is more manageable, and that makes a lot more sense, and you're not going to have the Barnstable Tea Party and throwing Lincoln, who's a great guy, into the water over there. I think that will rub people the right way. Makes much more sense. The other thing I want to try and understand, which I can't figure out exactly, is why this big increase. I mean, I understand the capital expenditures, but that's done out over a lengthy period of time. You get grants. You have people in the town that write grants, give you, large sums of money. And so when you say $6 million or whatever that figure was, it really works out to be a different number. And somehow the town, through all these capital improvements, is able to get things done. And they get help maybe from the general fund. Money comes from the general fund. I know you guys get money from the general fund. You're not completely self-sufficient. I saw the numbers. I think it was about $60,000 that you get a year from the general fund. So it isn't completely self-sufficient. So I think the important thing here is that you ease people into these increases. If you have these capital projects, which seems to be the big deal, that you have to ease people into these increased fees over a gradual period of time. And granted, from what I could see, it isn't affecting everybody. It's certain groups, and Barnstable in particular seems to be targeted. And then within Barnstable Harbor, there's a small group that seems to be targeted. So those are the ones you need to focus in on so that it's not so cumbersome for them to afford this. And I think you'll have a lot more happier people if you do it on a graduated basis such as that. It's a workshop. I appreciate, really, I thought that was great that you notified everybody about this. Otherwise, I would have missed it. I wouldn't have had an opportunity to voice my opinion. So I hope you look at some other alternatives. The other comment I wanted to make is that I don't think the town really needs to increase it so much that you have decided to. I think that's just too aggressive. It looked to me like you're going to make an increase of over $100,000 in revenues by doing this. And I'm not sure you need to really do that in spite of the capital improvements that you have. and the capital improvements are down the road, and those things can be dealt with down the road, and the town's general fund can kick in money to help out as you smooth out things and you increase fees on a graduated basis, so it's not so painful for people. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Hi, my name's Nancy Trafton. I'm a slip holder in Barnstable Harbor, and thank you for an opportunity to discuss the proposed fee increases. I understand the need to review slip fees from time to time. Inflation sums it up. I'm here in the hope that I can provide context for the proposed fees and to pose questions around the process used to arrive at them. And I also have made a little map from the assessor's map of the 4 distinct sections that are billed separately currently in Barnstable Harbor. My slip number 59 is in the floating dock section located beside the Millway Bridge. The proposed fee increase for this section is roughly 115%, more than double. This section contains 18 slips, numbers 53 through 70. The current fee is a flat $16.70. Under this new scheme, my slip would be $36.10, $3,610. It's a lot to swallow. The new plan includes charging an 18-foot minimum, yet some double berths, including the one I'm in, would not allow for this. For instance, in the spot that I'm in, you couldn't fit 2 17-foot Montauks. The slips in this area of the harbor differ from the others. We are a step up from the small craft section that this gentleman is in, which is projected to pay a flat fee of $1,100. Most of those slips are packed tightly together and have small finger piers, though a few of the slips in that small craft section are pretty equivalent to ours. Our section supports small boats, 18 or 19 feet and under. It has no electricity. Our docks are 2 feet narrower than those in all but the small craft section. Depending on the tide rushing under the Millway Bridge, it can be difficult to dock and undock. And unlike the wider docks along the bulkhead and on the west side, pedestrian access to this floating dock area is narrower and less secure. Bridge jumping kids, because kids are kids, climb swim ladders in our section, and then they scramble across the boats to climb back onto the bridge. People fish from our finger piers. We're located the furthest away from the dockmaster's shack. Our section takes the brunt of the storms out of the northeast. In the balance of the marina, the slips front a dock wide enough to install storage lockers. Those lockers offer a huge benefit by eliminating the need to lug items up and down a dangerously steep ramp. Slips 1 through 34, which are on the west side, are quite a bit different. They have electricity and the widest berths in the marina, with many between them. Now, let me comment, there's a suggestion that people that pay a higher fee in slips 1 through 34 have the same situation that the boats, not where I am, but the section on the bulkhead. It's the same section as the section on the bulkhead. It really isn't. Their berths are much wider. They're much bigger, and you'll see that on the map that I'm going to hand you. So there are 4 separate and distinct sections of the marina which have informed the current pricing system. I think there was a reason for it. So in general, I would like to make some comparisons between the town's 4 marinas. The pedestrian ramps at Barnstable Harbor can be precipitous. The tide range there is over 9 feet. Our section has the steepest ramp. In 2009, when the town rebuilt the bulkhead, they had an opportunity to provide handicapped access and chose not to. Of all the town marinas, Barnstable Harbor is the most difficult one to access if you have any type of mobility issue, and I have one, so this is meaningful to me. For this reason, for some slip holders, and especially in our section, use of their boats can be limited by the tides. Lighting, security, cameras, electricity, and internet vary from place to place. Bismore is a primarily commercial or charter facility that accommodates vessels up to 75 feet. It has a permanent and stable dock and fixed finger piers. Bismore has seasonal staff that work into the night. It has electricity. It has a good number of monitored security cameras. It should not be compared with marinas meant for those with predominantly small pleasure craft. Different marinas and the slips within them are afforded different benefits and detractions due to drafts, docks, and shoaling. In preparing for tonight's meeting, I looked at the fees and amenities offered in town-owned marinas across the Cape. Most comparable to Barnstable Harbor is Sezuit in Dennis. It offers electricity to all of the slip holders and much safer pedestrian ramp access to the docks. Their fees were raised this year to $94 a foot. By just saying that it's fair to charge the same per-foot fee in all town marinas and in all locations within them just isn't, I'm sorry, an adequate explanation. The Massachusetts Department, given the differences between the various marinas and slips within the town of Barnstable, the one-size-fits-all fee structure just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The Massachusetts Department of Revenue's user fee memo states user fees must be collected not to raise revenues per se, but to compensate the governmental entity for its expenses in providing the service. This means that the dog wags the tail, not the reverse. I respectfully request that the methodology used to set fees continue to be examined, and in the process, I'd like everyone to take this into consideration. The current fee proposal for my slip, 19-foot boat, is 35% higher than at Bourne's most expensive marina at Taylor Point, 40% higher than at Sandwich Marina, 46% higher than at Yarmouth's most expensive marina at Packet Landing, which has 53 beautiful boat slips on Bass River, 102% higher than at Dennis's Sezuit Harbor, 106% higher than at Harwich's Saquatucket Harbor, and 146% higher than at Wellfleet Town Marina. I want to understand why Barnstable is proposing the highest municipal marina user fees on Cape Cod, if not in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just sort of as a follow-up. I wear a size 10 shoe. My son-in-law wears a size 13. I can fit into his shoes, but there's just no way that he can fit into mine. I think the problem is you're trying to oversimplify the problem here. Barnstable really is different from Bismarck. What's the name? Bismore, got it. I think you've got to look at the different marinas differently, separately. It's not fair to compare us to the expenses that Bismore has and the huge expenses, capital expenditures that they have going forward. Should Barnstable Harbor be subsidizing the more expensive harbors? I don't think that's fair. I think if you were to analyze it on a basis harbor by harbor and look at the expenses individually, you'll be able to match the expenses to the revenues. And every accountant always tells you he has to match the expenses to those revenues. And I think you'll find there's a huge disparity here. You're trying to oversimplify something that is not that simple. And I think you have to look at them separately and attach those costs that are associated with each marina in order to decide what is fair. And I know it's a little bit more work for you, but Mark Millen is a great accountant, and he can help you get through some of that stuff. So that would be my recommendation, is not try to make everything the same, because Barnstable Harbor is not the same as Bismarck. So that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Just had a quick follow-up to Rich Kenny with Gateway. A lot of these points were, I'm going to consolidate a couple of them that I think I heard the same theme over and over. It's kind of not really the rate increasing, it's why, is if there is a expenditure that's required or critical, that it makes more sense. If it's just to make them even, then that may not make a lot of sense. So I think a lot of people are asking just an explanation as to the expenses and why the rates are going up to the point that they are. Are they offsetting something else? Just that extra detail, I think, would help us kind of pull this together.
Hi. I'm Mary Moquin. I'm in Barnstable Harbor, slip 60. And I just want to say that I just wouldn't want your job trying to figure this all out because it's a mess. But I agree that it sounds like some people are getting charged more than they should be, and some people are getting charged, you think, less than they should be. And I guess my question was, have we ever considered maybe bringing some of the people that are being overcharged down a little and the people that are being undercharged up a little instead of just trying to bring us all up to the top level? And I would agree to look at the different individual slips because, like, there is no way we could have two 20-foot boats in my slip next to the woman who just spoke. I mean, we're tight as it is. We can barely fit together. So why should I have to pay for a 20-foot boat if I couldn't fit a 20-foot boat in there? So I know it's 18-foot, whatever. I don't even know if I could fit two 18-foots in there. So maybe you have to look at individual slips. And like she says, maybe there must be a reason why some were given flat fees at one point in time and some were given a per foot. Do you have any idea what the logistics was as to how it got so messed up in the first place or how it got so far apart?
I believe that different marinas were purchased at different points in time, and those fee structures
But
were
how about
set.
within Barnstable Harbor? You said
That
like 9 and 59 were like crazy apart from each other.
That I cannot answer to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because, I mean, maybe you have to look at harbor by harbor, and maybe there's a way to adjust some of the higher ones down and move some of the lower ones up, or really look at the spaces and see that the spaces aren't equitable, so that's the reason why maybe it was set that way initially. Maybe a much bigger boat could fit in that slip that's paying that fee per foot, and we're limited on that side where we are. So, I mean, maybe just trying to get some understanding as to why the slips are so different in the rates. And like she said, that's once you put the new bulkhead in, our ramp now is ridiculous. And like, we can't even get sandpaper replaced on that. Never mind. I mean, we just like some new sandpaper strips so we don't fall and break our necks, And it's like, we can't even get sandpaper on there, and you want us to double our slip fee? So that'd be great. All right?
Thank you.
Well, you're going to hear this again for the 100th time. I'm upset about the fees, of course, going up more than 100%. We're in Sharon Lacasse. I'm in
Could you
slip
state your
64
name?
in Barnstable Harbor. Sharon Lacasse. Excuse me. Slip 64 is extremely hard to get into, and I think Mark will agree. You're right next to us. If the tide is changing suddenly and the water's rushing out, we can get slammed up against the rocks. It's very, very tight. We only have a couple of inches in between Mark and ourselves. Also, at the end of the dock is a transient slip. It makes it even more difficult to get in there. The increase is astronomical. We have not had a working camera for probably 3 years now. My husband and I have noticed people on our boat jumping off our motor, fishing off of our boat, and there's no way to prove it. A couple of years ago, gas was siphoned from all of the boats on that side because gas was $6 a gallon at that time. It just seems crazy. Now, my question is, at $190, will I be paying the same rate as a commercial fishing boat in the harbor? Will they be paying $190 also?
So currently, our fees don't delineate between being commercial or non-resident or resident, and this fee proposal is resident and non-resident. It has nothing to do with commercial or not.
Okay, so a commercial person, his slip is still based on 190 times the number of feet? of
That's
his
correct,
boat?
if that
Okay, that's my
individual is a
question.
resident.
Okay.
If they're a non-resident, then it's based on.
As far as I know, the commercial boats earn a living. Okay,
That's
they make a
correct.
profit.
That's correct.
Okay, my boat is a hole in the water in which I throw money. No. Basically. So maybe I should start charging $25 for all of the guests that I bring over to Sandy Neck. I guess I'm just really, this is crazy. An increase of $1,722 in 1 year. I can see a gradual increase, say, over the next 5 or 10 years, but this is nuts to go up 100%. Everything in life has gone up. Everything costs more money. This is our recreation. We do nothing all winter. This is what we do, our boat. We don't fly on a plane. We don't go anywhere else. This is it. It's crazy. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Kimon. I'm a slip holder in Barnstable. This is just a general question. Does the town have a cap on how much it can increase fees for various activities in the town? Thank you. Some towns have a cap of, Yarmouth has a 5% cap on increases, like for golf or for, I'm guessing, marinas too. So does the town of Barnstable have anything like that? And if not, maybe why? I know it's not your...
Real estate taxes, 2.5% maximum. Town of Barnstable, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah. What about other things you don't know, or
I can't answer that question at this time.
anybody else on the committee? Do you have any thoughts? No? Okay.
Not as to anything that would be raised by percentage, no.
Well, maybe that's something we can talk to the town administrator about, or the council. Thank you.
Paul, one other thing, the town of Sandwich has 36 commercial slips put aside for their vessels, for their fishing vessels. I mean, some of those guys are doing very well commercially. It's hard work, but they're charged at a different rate. So Sandwich has put 36, and a gentleman had a good point about Hyannis. Brings money in with commercial vessels, commercial slips. It's a good idea.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that hasn't spoke yet that would like to speak? Okay, if not, do you have anything that you want to wrap up with?
Lots of comments. This is why I invited everyone here. I appreciate everyone's time. I don't think I can get to everyone's answers tonight. I'll adhere to what Waterways wants to do in the future here. Again, this is why I wanted to start talking about it. I wanted the members and the users to know that this fee discussion was happening, and I wanted, individual users' input. And so I really appreciate everyone coming out. Got a lot of different questions tonight. I wish there was an answer to all of them. What I can tell you is the original reason why we started this fee schedule adjustment was to fix the discrepancies across the board at different marinas, even within the same marina, like Barnstable Harbor. I understand that there's different access for some locations, but that's all personal preference. Some individuals may like Barnstable Harbor better than they like Bismore. Some individuals might like to use Bismore better than they do Barnstable Harbor. Individuals may like to transit Nantucket Sound and not the north side. That's all personal preference. I would agree that some marinas do have different amenities, like Prince Cove doesn't currently have a shower facility. Barnstable Harbor does, so that's for sure.
Bathroom facility, it's closed at 5 o'clock. You can't even get in it.
And I can't get in the dumpster after 5 to put all
They
my
lock the
beers in
dumpster.
there.
Okay, before we get too far along, again, I wanted to hear everyone's comments. You know, I think at this time, we need to take everything into consideration and come back to the table. You know, I'll kind of leave it to Waterways, what they want to do in the future here, but I really appreciate everyone's time in coming out and, you know, voicing their opinions. It's important.
Okay, thanks. We'll have the other committee members make comments.
Yeah, real quick. I think there's a great input here this evening, and a lot of things that we did talk about at the previous workshop. So I would let you know, Harbor Master just said what the progression of this process was, and it did not start necessarily as a fee increase. He brought it to the Waterways Committee as methodology for some uniformity for charging relative to the town and the bookkeeping and all that stuff. So it really is, if you just take yourself out of it as being a slip holder and you look at the way the rates are, no one would ever design it that way. So it came through as a logical thing to address. But there's really two issues, right? So it's the uniformity for the billing and the charges and how that impacts every slip holder, as well as the rates themselves. So it's not a comfortable topic to address, and I think partly that's why it's here, is that can has been kicked down the road by others before us. I commend the harbor master for saying, hey, you know, I'd like to get more uniformity on how we charge for these slips, the per foot and things like that. So, you know, those issues, the rate progressions and the multi-formula rate fees are difficult. I think also a component to that is that there hasn't been a series of rate increases, and I don't know when the last rate increase was, but if everybody's used to that flat fee and then all of a sudden there's a rate increase, certainly that's a component for concern. So Two final things. I wish the overlay of the proposed versus the current rate was available in a visible way, because the doubling of certain fees that we heard about, we've talked about that. We've talked about phasing in. Again, this is suggestions to the harbor master. That's not realistic for people. So how do we make it comfortable if in fact it goes to that? I think it's reasonable that we phase it in over a longer period of time, and those are the discussions that we're having. The final thing I would say was there's the workshop that we had on May 21st, the genesis for all of this discussion. If you want, it's on the town website, but it was kind of the brainstorming for this, and I think you'll see if you take the time to watch it, the spirit of this was not at all to say, how do we raise the fees as high as we possibly can, because that just wasn't, we weren't part of that, that wasn't presented, that was never the issue. So in that spirit, I would just thank everybody for coming in. Excellent comments, and I hope we can accommodate most of you know, the thoughts that we have here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like just to make a couple quick comments. I've been in Barnstable Harbor for quite a while, and it took me 25 years to get a slip, like some of you, a long time. And I've been paying at the higher rate all the time, which is, for me, it's access. But some really key points were brought out tonight about security, access, and also about the rates and the proposed modifications and maintenance that has to be done. So I think this is really a good workshop, and I will take it back.
Okay, thank you. And some of the general consensus, and we have, as a committee, talked about this before. We've asked, you know, about capital improvements, the prioritization of the improvements, what actually have to be done, like right away, and the plan down the road. We asked the harbor master about that. What has to be done to stabilize a bulkhead or a ramp or things like that. We've asked about grant applications subsidized by other means. Someone else had mentioned before about one of the other towns with a good sizable application. Some of the port and waterways monies that is available federally, just everything out there that we can possibly get to apply to it. I know they'll be competing with sewer projects and everything else, and actually part of the, around some of the marinas, sewer projects will be, I'm sure addressed. The other points about seniority in moving up from a slip, if you currently have one, I think that's an excellent idea personally. And the so-called garbage slips, the ones that nobody else wants, how do we treat those fairly at all the marinas? We have on the north side designated that one little area, but we have to take a hard look at these other slips. And so a lot of great comments. So we're happy that we have had this workshop with everybody. Appreciate the inputs, and we will continue to work with the harbor master, make more suggestions, and it'll be in some sort of a form. When do you have to have
just
it in?
before everyone left, I'd like everyone to, pay attention to the next Waterways Committee meeting. We'll probably have follow-up comments in regards to individuals and, their comments and concerns. The next Waterways Committee meeting, I'm going to try to address some of those. I'm going to go back, take a look at it, try to address some of those, and so we can have ongoing conversations about it. If there was to be a fee structure or a, fee schedule put in place, I believe it's October, it needs to submit it to the town manager, so we don't have that much time. But with that being said, I'd really like to take the comments that everyone said, put them into play, discuss it with Waterways, and then come back to the table with something, hopefully that more of the user support.
Could you give that to Pam right over here? Okay, thank you. All right.
Is it the Waterways or the harbor master that recommends the fee changes?
So I recommend the fee changes based on the budget cycle that I have and proposed capital improvement projects. But obviously, we discuss them with Waterways, and then we move forward with implementing those and sending those to the town manager, and then he'd have a fee hearing.
Just so you're aware, the Waterways Committee is an advisory committee in the town. We do advise the Harbor Master Department on probably the biggest thing are people that forget moorings to renew their moorings, and when they get denied, the structure is they come to the Waterways Committee to get reinstated. Other things about movement around the water, placement of navigation aids, just the general operation of the waterways. When it gets to the marinas and all of that, the town has the authority to raise that rate. We will make recommendations to the harbor master. He then makes a presentation to the town, and it's considered then. Okay, well, thanks everybody for attending. At this time, we'll close this workshop at 8:17. Thank you very much.